When Archangel Michael says it is an emergency, it is never meant to frighten you, but to wake something inside you that has been sleeping for too long. His message is not about chaos, it is about clarity, alignment, and urgency of the soul. And when he says he has been waiting for 2 hours, it is not a literal measurement of earthly time. It is a divine way of saying, you have postponed your breakthrough long enough. You have hesitated long enough. You have doubted long enough. Now is the moment to rise. And that is where the first key point begins to unfold. Understanding the urgency of divine timing. There are moments in your life when heaven pushes you forward gently, and there are moments when heaven calls you forward with unmistakable force. This is one of those moments, the kind you can't ignore without feeling the consequences in your spirit. There are seasons when guidance feels like a whisper, and seasons when guidance becomes a thunder. When Archangel Michael speaks with urgency, it means the window for your transformation is open, and not for long. This urgency is not punishment, it is protection. There are paths that must be taken now because waiting too long would close a door that God opened just for you. There are opportunities aligned for your elevation that require your immediate yes. And there are spiritual attacks you've outgrown, but they linger because you have not yet stepped into the identity that dissolves them instantly. Michael is not warning you of danger. He is warning you of delay. He is reminding you that you cannot stay in the same place and expect your life to change. Many times you felt the nudge to shift something, to move on, to let go, to confront, to heal, to trust, but you pushed it aside because the timing felt inconvenient or unclear. But heaven sees what you don't see. Archangel Michael sees where your energy has been leaking, where your peace has been stolen, where your destiny has been slowing because you are carrying burdens that were never meant to stay this long. When he says he has been waiting for 2 hours, he is saying your spirit is running behind schedule. He is saying the transformation that should have begun earlier is ready now, and you cannot afford to overlook this moment. This is your rehook. Are you ready to hear what heaven has been trying to tell you? Heaven does not rush what is not ready. So if the urgency is here, it means you are more ready than you realize. You are stronger than you appear, braver than you admit, and more prepared than you allow yourself to believe. Michael's message is a reminder that your hesitation is the only thing delaying your breakthrough. This is the point in your journey where your next level is not waiting on God, it is waiting on you. And the reason he speaks with such intensity is because your blessings, your peace, your alignment, your elevation, they are all sitting at the doorway, waiting for you to step up and open it. This is also the moment where fear must lose its power. You've spent too long second-guessing your intuition, too long silencing your inner voice, too long allowing doubt to override divine instruction. When Michael comes with urgency, it is because fear's influence over your life must end now. You cannot rise while you are rehearsing the reasons you might fall. You cannot step into destiny while holding on to the comfort of familiarity. His urgency is a spiritual breaking point, a moment where heaven snaps the chains you've outgrown and calls you to move before they tighten again. Heaven knows when your spirit is suffocating and when your potential is being delayed. Michael's emergency is not about external danger, it is about internal awakening. It is about shaking you so deeply that you can no longer accept a version of life that is beneath what your soul was designed to experience. You are not being warned of a catastrophe, you are being summoned into your calling, and this is your reminder that your calling will not wait forever. Here is your rehook. If heaven is calling you urgently, what is it preparing you to become? Michael is urging you to shift your mindset, to elevate your choices, to align your actions with your purpose. This is your season of acceleration, but acceleration requires motion. You cannot be moved by heaven if you refuse to take the first step. This moment is about responding, immediately, courageously, wholeheartedly. Because when God's timing becomes urgent, miracles unfold faster than resistance can stop them. And if you are willing to move now, if you are willing to say yes now, you will step into breakthroughs that have been waiting on the other side of your hesitation. So take this urgency as a blessing. Take it as divine intervention. Take it as confirmation that something in your life is about to shift dramatically. And as you feel this message unfold within you, allow this final rehook to echo through your spirit. What if the emergency is not about what could go wrong, but about what is finally ready to go right? When Archangel Michael speaks of urgency, he is not trying to frighten you, he is trying to wake you. And when he says he has been waiting, it is not because he is impatient, but because you have finally reached a moment where hesitation can no longer serve you. In this space, the message becomes clear. You must stop delaying what your spirit already knows. You must stop shrinking yourself to fit people, spaces, and timelines that were never built for your growth. You must step into a decision that has been knocking at your door for far too long. There comes a moment when your soul, feels that gentle pressure, the kind that nudges you, stirs you, and refuses to let you rest in the comfort of old patterns. That's the moment you're in now. You may have noticed the signs, a restlessness you can't explain, a discomfort in familiar places, a sudden awareness of what drains you and what elevates you. These are not coincidences, these are signals. These are spiritual alarms ringing because your life can't move forward until you decide to move with it. Michael's urgency is not about time running out, it's about your potential waiting to rise. And isn't it interesting how the things you resist the most are the very things you are being called toward? That conversation you keep postponing, that boundary you haven't set, that opportunity you haven't answered, that healing you've been avoiding. You tell yourself, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe when I feel ready. But readiness is not something you wait for, it's something you choose, and Michael knows this. That's why he presses you now, gently but firmly, asking you to stop delaying the chapter that was written for your strength, not your fear. There is something powerful about the moment you finally stop negotiating with your soul. You can feel the shift the instant it happens. It's like the air becomes clearer, your body feels lighter, and the confusion you carried begins to dissolve. Suddenly the path you thought was complicated begins to make sense. It's because clarity is always found on the other side of surrender. And this is the surrender Michael is calling you to embrace. Not a surrender of control, but a surrender of doubt. Not a surrender of your dreams, but a surrender of the versions of yourself that no longer match who you are becoming. You may think you are waiting on a sign, but the truth is, the sign has been waiting on you. Michael's 2 hours represent the seasons of your life where heaven has been patient with your hesitation, patient with your fear, patient with your uncertainty. But now, there is movement happening behind the scenes. Doors are loosening, energies are shifting, alignments are forming. Your silence, your waiting, your postponing, they no longer match the divine pace your life is meant to move in. And Michael is making sure you don't miss what's coming next. There is something inside you that knows this is the moment to rise. You can feel it pressing against your chest, whispering in your thoughts, tugging on your intuition. It's the part of you that knows you were not meant to merely survive. You were meant to transform. And sometimes, transformation begins with one simple choice. I'm done playing small. When you make that choice, you ignite spiritual momentum. Opportunities that were stuck begin to flow. Strength you thought you didn't have begins to surface. And the guidance you felt was distant begins to speak louder. Michael's urgency is a reminder that you are not alone in this transition. You are not stepping into the unknown without support. You are stepping with a warrior who has never abandoned you, a protector who has fought battles you never saw, a guide who has whispered to your spirit even when your mind felt overwhelmed. His waiting is not a warning, it's a reassurance. You are ready for what comes next, even if you don't feel ready. And if you find yourself unsure, hesitant, or afraid, remember this truth. Growth rarely feels comfortable at the beginning. Change rarely feels gentle. Awakening rarely feels quiet. But the discomfort you feel right now is not a sign to resist. It's a sign to move. Michael is reminding you that hesitation is the only thing that can delay what is meant for you. But even that delay cannot deny it. What is yours will always rise again, waiting for the moment you finally say yes. So ask yours. What have you been putting off? What truth have you been avoiding? What calling have you been postponing? Because the moment you answer those questions with honesty is the moment your life begins to accelerate. The moment you stop resisting your own evolution is the moment the path becomes clear. And this is why Michael is urgent today, not because you're lost, but because you're close. Not because you're failing, but because you're rising. Not because time is slipping away, but because destiny is leaning toward you and asking, will you finally step into what's yours? And if you think this message is intense now, wait until you hear what Michael reveals next. Here is an expanded Keynote 3 segment written in a seamless, flowing conversational tone, approximately 750 words, with rehooks sprinkled throughout, and one strong rehook at the end. There comes a moment in every spiritual awakening when you realize that the message you're receiving isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to shake you awake. And when Archangel Michael speaks with urgency, especially with words like "I have been waiting for 2 hours," it isn't because you are late in a literal sense. It's because your soul has been hesitating, delaying, overthinking a decision that should have been made long ago. This is the moment where the gentle nudges stop, and the call becomes louder, clearer, and impossible to ignore. And even if part of you wants to shrink back or tell yourself you're not ready, something deeper rises within you, because this level of urgency usually means your life is standing on the edge of an important shift, a shift you can't afford to miss this time, a shift you've prayed for, even if you forgot your own prayers. And right now he's reminding you that the window is open, but not forever. This is your moment. Don't blink through it. Heaven see. It's what you often overlook. You may think you're waiting on clarity, waiting on signs, waiting on circumstances to get better before you take action. But Archangel Michael sees that life has already been trying to position you. Doors have already been creaking open. Alignments have already been forming. But hesitation has been holding you back. Fear has been slowing you down. And old wounds have been whispering doubts. That's why the urgency is not punishment. It's protection. It's the universe saying, "Move now before the moment passes." It's Archangel Michael stepping forward because he sees what's approaching before you do, and he knows the cost of staying still. This is your cosmic reminder that hesitation has already taken too much from you. Don't let it take this too. For so long, you've been carrying burdens that were never meant to be permanent. You've been walking with weights you didn't even realize you were dragging behind you. Pain from the past, fear of failure, worry about the future, all of it has created delays you didn't consciously choose. And every delay has echoed through your life in ways you didn't expect. Missed opportunities, second guesses, emotional detours. But here's the truth. Archangel Michael wants to cut through with his sword of clarity. You're not behind, you're not late, and you haven't ruined anything. What looks like a 2-hour delay to you is simply divine timing recalibrating. But you can't stay still anymore. Not now. Not when everything you've asked for is finally within reach. This is your sign to drop the weight, not the mission. Archangel Michael has always been the protector of those who feel overwhelmed, the guide for those who feel stuck, and the strength for those who feel alone. And when he says he's been waiting, it's because he's been holding space for you. Space for your awakening, your decision, your shift into a higher vision of yourself. But even divine patience has a purpose. When he signals urgency, it means you are standing at a spiritual crossroads, and the decision you make right now shapes more than the next month or the next year. It shapes the next chapter of your life. The universe isn't asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be willing. It's asking you to step forward with what you have, even if it doesn't feel like enough. Even if fear trembles inside you. Even if your voice shakes. This is your moment to step toward destiny instead of doubt. You may not see the threat or the opportunity clearly, but Archangel Michael does. He sees the energy shifting around you, the changes unfolding behind the scenes, the people entering and leaving your life for reasons that might not make sense yet. He sees how close you are to breakthrough, and how easily distraction or delay could pull you off track. That's why the urgency sounds almost like a warning, but it's wrapped in protection. You're being told to rise now, not because you're failing, but because you're finally ready for more. And sometimes readiness looks like fear. Sometimes readiness feels like pressure. Sometimes readiness sounds like an angel saying, "I need you to move, now." This is your cue to stop doubting what you feel and start trusting what you're being shown. Deep down, you already know what this message is referring to. There's a decision you've been avoiding, a step you've been afraid to take, a door you've been standing in front of without crossing. The reason Archangel Michael is speaking with urgency today is because that decision is the key to unlocking everything else. The future you keep asking for is on the other side of that choice. The peace you've been craving is waiting on the other side of that release. And the breakthrough you've been praying for depends on your willingness to act, even before why. Feel perfectly prepared. This is not a time to retreat, it's a time to respond. And heaven is already supporting every move you make in alignment with truth. This is your sign to step into the moment before the moment passes you by. And as you take in this message, let these words echo through your spirit as a rehook, pulling you deeper into awareness. If Archangel Michael is speaking with urgency, it means something extraordinary is about to unfold. If you don't hesitate now, here is the expanded 750-word segment for Keynote 4, written in a smooth conversational tone, with rehooks woven throughout and one final rehook at the end. When Archangel Michael signals urgency, it is never without purpose. Sometimes the emergency isn't about an outside event, it's about the inner state of your spirit. And when he says he's been waiting, it means your soul has reached a moment where waiting any longer would cost you too much. This is the moment when hesitation becomes a danger, where delay risks your peace, your clarity, and the breakthrough that's been forming around you. Michael steps in because you've been standing at a crossroads longer than you realize, unsure whether to act, unsure whether to trust, unsure whether to release the things that are draining you. And while you think you're waiting for a sign, he's been waiting for your yes. He's been waiting for your courage. He's been waiting for your willingness to step into the shift that has already begun around you. That gentle pressure you've been feeling, that sense that something is calling you forward, that is no coincidence. That is the spiritual nudge you've been ignoring, hoping it would fade. But Michael isn't here to let it fade. He's here to make sure you finally see what your spirit has been trying to tell you. And that is the first rehook. Because the moment you start listening, the entire direction of your life shifts. You may not realize it yet, but the emergency he speaks of is often internal. The emergency of staying too small, the emergency of holding on to old versions of yourself, the emergency of clinging to people who have already completed their role in your story. Michael has watched you praying for change while living in the same patterns that suffocate your growth. He's seen you asking for clarity while surrounding yourself with confusion. He's seen you asking for strength while giving your power away to fear, doubt, and the words of people who don't even understand your destiny. That's why he steps in with urgency, not to warn you of destruction, but to warn you of stagnation, not to scare you, but to awaken you, not to pull you backward, but to propel you forward. And that realization becomes another rehook, because once you understand the true emergency, you can no longer go back to sleep. Sometimes the emergency is simply this: your future is calling, but you're still responding to life from your past. You're letting old wounds dictate your new opportunities. You're letting past disappointments silence your present courage. You're letting who you used to be interfere with who you are becoming. Michael is here because that cycle must end now. Your spirit has matured. Your heart has grown stronger. Your intuition has sharpened. And yet, you're still questioning whether you're ready. But readiness isn't measured by perfection, it's measured by willingness. It's measured by the moment you say, "I cannot stay where I am," even if you're not sure where to go next. Michael's presence is the reassurance that the next step will be supported, even if the path feels unclear. That awareness is another rehook, because the moment you admit that life cannot continue in the old way, the new way finally opens. He has been waiting for 2 hours, symbolically, not as human time but as divine timing, because spiritually, you're overdue for the shift. You've outgrown your environment. You've outgrown certain relationships. You've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated less, that dimmed your light, that apologized for wanting more. Michael is stepping forward because your soul is calling for release, release of fear, release of guilt, release of the belief that you're meant to struggle alone. He's been waiting for that moment where your inner voice becomes louder than your doubt. That is the emergency. Your spirit is ready, but your habits are not. And this creates another rehook, because once you acknowledge that tension, you begin to break free from it. Michael's urgency also speaks to the unseen battle around you. Not a battle meant to frighten you, but one meant to remind you that spiritual growth always comes with spiritual resistance. When you rise, something tries to pull you back. When you heal, something tries to reopen the wound. When you step into purpose, something tries to distract, delay, or weaken you. That's why he says it's an emergency, because your breakthrough is close, and opposition always intensifies right before something shifts. But you're not empty-handed. You're not unprotected. You're not walking alone. The moment Michael speaks, the atmosphere around you changes. Clarity rises. Strength returns. Peace settles. That awakening is another rehook, because once you remember who walks with you, fear loses its power. Michael has been waiting because this is your moment to choose alignment over anxiety, purpose over procrastination, and faith over fear. This is the turning point of your story, the chapter where hesitation ends and action begins. And as his message reaches your spirit, he pulls you toward the next part with a final rehook, because what he is about to reveal, next, will shift everything you thought you knew about your path, your protection, and the future racing toward you. Here is your 750-word expansion of Keynote 5, written in the same spiritual, cinematic, prophetic tone you prefer. It flows naturally, contains rehooks throughout, and ends with a final rehook leading into whatever comes next. When Archangel Michael speaks about timing, he is not talking about clocks or calendars the way we understand them. His sense of timing is woven into the fabric of cause and effect, into spiritual readiness, into the unseen alignment that takes place long before anything appears in your physical world. And when he says now is the moment, he isn't simply pointing to the present. He is revealing that a window has opened, a doorway has shifted, and something that was once impossible is suddenly within reach. In moments like this, the urgency does not come from fear, it comes from divine precision. It comes from the truth that what you've prayed for is finally attached to the right frequency, the right opportunity, the right version of you. And if you hesitate too long, if you doubt too deeply, that window can close just as quietly as it opened. This is why Archangel Michael presses on your spirit now, urging you to listen, urging you to move, urging you to respond with a heart that is awake and aware. It is a call not just to act but to trust, because there are times when your blessings are waiting, fully ready, hovering right above your life like a shift in atmosphere. But your energy is still anchored to old fears, old patterns, old memories that keep you from receiving them. Michael's message today carries that unmistakable urgency. I have held this moment open for you. That means something around you is shifting, something inside you is shifting, something ahead of you is shifting, and why? You cannot stand where you are anymore. You cannot stay numb, stay distracted, stay silent, or stay small. This part of your journey requires your presence, fully, consciously, unapologetically present. If you've been delaying decisions, this is a rehook pulling you forward. If you've been ignoring signs, this is a rehook snapping your attention back to what matters. If you've been waiting for everything to be perfect before taking your next step, consider this a rehook, reminding you that perfection is the enemy of divine timing. Michael is saying there is something he has protected for you, but protection without participation cannot bring completion. You must show up for what has been saved for you. You must rise into what is being placed before you. You must answer the pull in your spirit even if your mind tries to argue against it. Because when heavenly timing meets earthly hesitation, opportunities slip through cracks you didn't even know were there. This is why he speaks with intensity today. Not because you are in danger, but because a blessing is in motion and you cannot afford to fall behind it. And for some listening, this moment marks a crossroads between who you were and who you are becoming, a choice point between staying the same and stepping into the version of yourself that destiny has been waiting for. Let this truth rehook your faith. You may not see all the details yet, but you can feel the shift in the atmosphere, how your intuition has been louder, how your restlessness has increased, how certain doors have been closing while others begin to crack open. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. They are signs that the spiritual realm is moving on your behalf. Michael does not wait 2 hours for nothing. He waits because your spirit is being recalibrated, your path is being rewritten, your momentum is being restored. And while it may feel like pressure, it is actually preparation. While it may feel like urgency, it is actually alignment. And while it may feel like something is demanding your attention, it is actually something calling you toward the future that belongs to you. Let this be a rehook pulling your spirit into awareness. This moment is not meant to scare you, it is meant to wake you. It is meant to shake off the residue of old disappointments, old betrayals, old fears that have been clouding your vision. Michael wants you clear. He wants you ready. He wants you steady. And most of all, he wants you willing to receive what heaven has already declared as yours. There is no punishment here, only preparation. No threat, only encouragement. No warning, only a nudge that carries the weight of divine timing. So if you feel that trembling inside, that rising urgency, that ripple in your spirit that says something is coming, trust it, lean into it, follow it. Because this is your moment, and Michael is making it unmistakably clear that you cannot miss it unless you choose to. Consider this your rehook back into purpose. And as this part comes to a close, the question is not, is the blessing ready? The question is, are you ready to step into it? Because Michael is still waiting, patient, powerful, and persistent, hoping you will respond before the window shifts again. And that is where we turn next. Because what unfolds from here will require even deeper awareness, even stronger trust, and an even greater understanding of what he has been trying to tell you all along.